Many people in the world are self-proclaimed perfectionists. They spend tons of unnecessary time overachieving and making sure that every answer or aspect of the project is done right and is the best it can be. STA is full of perfectionists. I am not one of them. Huijin Chung, my physics lab partner, would probably agree with me on that based on the differences in quality between our lab notebooks. This is because I've developed what is called an it is what it is attitude. Musician Neil Young once said, "One good thing about the past is you can't change it, so there's no reason to go back. It's there. It is what it is. The only thing you can change right now and what the only thing you can change is right now and what's happening next." Using this mindset, I don't get caught up in the little things. I can move on with my life a lot more easily than the average person. Get a bad grade on a test? It is what it is. Getting a speeding ticket? It is what it is. Your dad dies? Okay. Maybe it doesn't work for everything. No matter what, you're going to come across moments that test your character and really challenge you when it comes to handling them properly. Life will throw curveballs at you that will make it impossible to walk away from. It was September 29th, 2017. The last class of my freshman year homecoming week had just ended. I listened to the announcements to hear that my soccer practice had been canceled. My friends and I all celebrated and began talking about whose house we would hang out at before the homecoming football game. I called my dad to ask him if I could go to my friend's house, but he didn't answer, so I texted my mom. She replied saying that I could. When me, Joe Markert, and Joe Middleton arrived at Mids' house, we began playing our routine game of soccer in his backyard. I stopped to check my phone and change the music. I saw that my mom had been calling me the whole time and texted me that there was an accident and needed to know where I was. I replied to her and began thinking about what could possibly have happened. Did something happen to a family member? Is it my great-grandma? I asked myself. Is it my dad? My heart immediately sank as I realized that my dad was supposed to pick me up from school and never answer my call. I figured he must have gotten into an accident and was in the hospital. I called my mom's phone and my aunt answered. When I heard her voice, I immediately knew it wasn't my great-grandma. "Where's my mom?" I asked. "She can't talk to you right now. Something happened," she said. She was trying to protect me from hearing it over the phone, but I had already figured it out. "Did something happen to my dad?" I asked. She started to cry. "Talk to your uncle," she said. My uncle picked up the phone. "Did something happen to my dad?" "Has the officer come yet?" he said. I immediately started to cry because if officers were involved, I knew it was bad. 30 grueling minutes later, the officer finally came. The only thing I remember from the long ride home was the feeling that I would have to be the man of the house if he was gone. I arrived at my house to see multiple police cars and my pastor outside. My pastor told me that, in fact, my dad had passed away. I started crying because I didn't know what to do. What else was there to do? I was a 14-year-old kid that didn't have the slightest clue of responsibility, now losing his role model, and that just made me scared, not sad. I remember distinctly thinking that the Caleb before my dad died was a different person, and I would never be the same. This wasn't just going to be another annoyance in my life. It was going to be a new adventure filled with challenges and growth. But unlike a movie, in real life, the hero can fail. Even worse, I started the adventure on the wrong path. For the next year or so, I chose to let my dad passing away define my life, and I was pretty good at it too. My good grades instantly diminished along with my social life. Freshman and sophomore year was honestly a pretty miserable time because I was so caught up in the past. Thinking of myself as the kid whose dad died made me focus on all of the ways that my life had become worse, not on the people who made it better. One of the biggest things that helped me move on was my step-grandpa, whose first wife unexpectedly passed away a long time ago. He helped me understand that life is not about the challenges we face, but how we react to and learn from them. He also helped me realize that I don't need to define my life by what happens to me or what other people say about me. Junior and senior years were full of me proving myself and other people wrong. My entire life, I was known as the short, chubby kid. To put this into perspective, the driving permit that I got at the end of freshman year said 5'1". I grew about 8 inches in the summer before junior year and finally wasn't known as the short kid anymore. Next were my grades. I consistently pulled a solid 3.3 GPA for the first 2 years of high school until, to my surprise, I discovered that doing homework actually makes you better at taking the test. Taking this new study method into account, I somehow managed to get over a 4.0 GPA last year. Another thing that I let somebody define me by was when I was in 7th grade and I wanted to start playing football. When I asked my dad, he laughed and said I would literally die because I was so small. Last year, I accidentally walked into the right lecture hall and attended the football informational meeting. I said, what the heck, and decided to play football instead of soccer my senior year. Turns out my dad was right though, because in our last game, I got leveled by a 200-pound linebacker on the first kickoff. I didn't let that define me either, however, and had one of the most fun experiences of my high school career because I decided to walk into the wrong meeting one day. Nowadays, I've gotten pretty good at being who I and only I want to be. Sure, I still get recognized by many different names such as Caleb, Cable, Mr. C, Bonahoom, Bonaboom, Bonnie spelled 3 different ways, Boniface, and Saint, and last but not least, Saint Boniface. But other than that, I've chosen to do exactly what I want to do and not what other people want me to do. This allows me to be a lot more confident in myself and happier as a person because everything I work for is for myself and not to impress anybody. Although most of this was a personal journey, I couldn't have done it without help. Finding good friends was the main reason my grades skyrocketed, as I always had something to look forward to on the weekend. My step grandpa has been there to give me life advice and also teaches me valuable lessons like how to build a basement. Thank you. Finally, my mom has still somehow managed to support me and my siblings financially while still dealing with my dad's death. Honestly, I don't know how she does it sometimes. Love you, Mom. Well, the last 4 years haven't been all sunshine and rainbows, but I won't let that bring me down because at the end of the day, it is what it is. Thank you and God bless.
Brigade, attention. Battalion commanders take charge of your battalions. Staff, follow.